Okay. Hey, Dispel. Hope you're well. Morning, Reg. No, no fireworks. It's a bit weird to I forget the 5th of November when the um having moved away. It was a fun time growing up with bonfires and fireworks and things like that. Okay. Okay, let's get this started today. So my machine rebooted overnight, so things are not where they need to be, but we'll get there. Let's hope this remembered, because morning, important guy. Yeah, remembered. We're logged in. Restream bot is still terrible and won't connect. Okay. So today we continue with Pulumi. We're continuing with Kafka. I had some thoughts on this yesterday. I was talking to Mojo and realized that my organization, as good as I thought it was yesterday, was bad. I'm still thinking of this in the development terms. And for the sake of resources, I think it's probably a good idea to do it this way. But ultimately, what I probably want to do is figure out how to make this SQL Server a reusable component that I can add to every single, because I pass in the namespace and the config, right? I probably want to make it a configurable component that I can add into every single namespace, because if I have planning and I have whatever, then their databases shouldn't be shared, right? Yes, from a cost perspective and from a resource perspective, this works because I do not need to be trained to run 5 different instances of SQL Server. Similar to that, Mm. if I was to go into production with this system as it is, I probably wouldn't use a Kubernetes a container for the database, right? I'd probably use an actual app instance database or an instance database in the cloud provider I used, which means the SQL Server is probably not the smartest choice from a licensing and cost perspective, right? SQL Server will cost more. So one thing I might want to do in the near future is look at building a Postgre database instance and trying to move the application stack over to Postgre, however you want to say it. I know it's acceptable both ways, but yeah, that's going to be its own challenge. So for right now, we'll create one SQL Server. It works. We've got the secret. We've got all those sorts of things. We're happy. Also, I have a bad feeling. No, I didn't. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what we need to do today is we need to be able to build a Kafka system and connect to it and be able to view it and whatnot. So connect to the Kafka cluster. Yesterday, we kind of went over the fact that Kafka right now uses Craft. So we're going to try and get that working. As always, if there's any, questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing with this, I am open to discussion. If you believe I'm doing something weird or you think I'm doing something um, that I shouldn't be doing, or I'm not getting something, it's okay to call that out. I'm not arrogant enough to believe I believe I know everything and don't need any help. So, um, Kafka craft. Apache without Zookeeper. Pulumi. Deploying Kafka on OpenShift using Helm. Deploying Kafka. Gotta be careful here how I do this. Pulumi Kafka. Hey Dota, how you doing? So we're gonna do nice. Uh, okay, the following configuration points are available. Bootstrap servers. Okay. I'm not going to mess around with user authentication in Kafka right immediately because I think getting into the Scram stuff and the SASL, I have no idea how to configure that. I'm going to have to learn. Yep. No worries, Doctor. So this looks like an out of the box Pulumi install for this. Yarn add Pulumi Kafka. Or is this okay? So does that mean I can do do I do node package JSON and add Pulumi? Yes, I do. Okay, CDD dev Pulumi Liquid Sky npm install. Okay. That might help. Okay, so going to let's let's do everything here. Rather than trying to break it down, let's do everything here. And then import star as Kafka from. Okay, so I'm gonna drag this over so I don't keep flicking back and forth. As always. Okay. So the following configuration points are available: Kafka Bootstrap servers, a list of host port addresses that will be used to discover the full set of. Oh, is this connecting to Kafka or is this actually examples? Uh, Spider. Um, okay, so that links to wow. This is not for configuring Kafka. This is for connecting to Kafka. But you can define topics. So this allows me to script the topics, which is nice. That is helpful. But this does not give me the ability to configure Kafka. I've got to do that first. Okay, that's important to remember. So when we get to the point of the Kafka pieces, then we can use this to connect to the provider and then create the topics, so we can script out all those things, which is nice. That is nice, but it's just not what I needed right this second. The docs, by the way, link to this. Hi, Tricky Lady. Hope you're well. Okay, so that is not going to get us Kafka deployed. So we need to deployment using yes, my coffee is about 2/3 done. Okay, so create cluster using Pulumi. So create environment, blah blah blah. Kafka cluster args. So new cluster. Following code examples should allow to provision a Confluent cloud environment. No, I don't want a cloud environment. That'd be awesome if I could use Confluent Cloud, but I do not have that sort of money, and we cannot guarantee that we won't burst through their usage caps. So we're not going to be using cloud for this. Deployment, Kafka deployment, K8S. What are you making in what language? So right now I am, right this second, I am working on building a deployment for my main application. So this is using TypeScript to build scripts to deploy another application. The main application uses C# and TypeScript. What? I'm writing code to deploy the main application I write, which is what one line just provided the document, the marketing blurb for, I suppose. Install Strimzy Kafka operator. Strimzy provides Kubernetes YAML files for deploying the Kafka operator. So I'm doing a lot of extra stuff to get to the stuff I want to do, which might seem like a big waste of time, but it's a good challenge. It's hard to describe because it is something, even in its nature, it's something that is very focused on tech. So not only am I doing the code thing, I'm coding the thing to help people code. So it's a lot on the tech side. So it's a very difficult thing to explain in any non-technical way. Files, use config group to apply inline YAML. I love comments like that. Like, where? Installs a Streamzy Kafka operator by applying Kubernetes YAML files directly. It creates a Kafka cluster by deploying a Kafka custom resource is recognized by the Streamzy operator. Using Streamzy Kafka operators install files hosted on their official GitHub repo. Okay, so that's what this is. So this is going to set up theirs. Right now, I'm basically writing an app to upload other code that I've written to a little box in a machine I have here, so that I can use that code without running it on my machine. Yes. So let's have a look at what this looks like. So this is the Streamzy file. These are Kafka replicas. Helm charts are. That's what it said in English. So Pulumi, by the way, is helping me avoid writing this sort of stuff. I mean, I know that people have done it for me, but again, I've got to put a lot of trust in that someone's done this right. And this is 15,000 lines. So Pulumi is helping me avoid writing some of this stuff. But my problem right this second is I do not want to deploy a cluster that is configured by somebody else entirely. And there's a lot of stuff in here. Hold on, let's have a look. Let's look for the Kafka broker version. There's 124 mentions of the brokers, the host name, which will be using the brokers, advertise brokers. Oh, no, not good today. Not good today. No. Words to avoid. Hello, Mr. Jones. Hope you are well. So this still puts Zookeeper in there. This might be the best version. This might be the best way I have of configuring Kafka right this second. Offsets topic, but entity operators. So we have. Sugar. Yes, it is. Okay. Kafka cluster namespace and service. So Kafka cluster is a config group. Oh, this isn't one Zookeeper, one Kafka broker. But as we learned yesterday, Streamzy, so this is from earlier on this year. To deploy Kafka managed by Streamzy on a Kubernetes cluster using Pulumi, you need to install the Streamzy Kafka operator, which allows you to manage Kafka clusters decoratively by Kubernetes custom resources. So let's have a look. Let's go to here. Well, my attitude right this second is if it goes anywhere near anything, I'm going to shut the stream down. Just for reference. I'm not. This stream is about software development, so and that's the way I'm going to hold. So I'm going to focus on getting this thing running. Mr. Jones was just being funny. I get that. I just don't want it left out there to trigger anybody into a conversation that I'm going to have to say nope, not the place. So that's the only reason. I'm certain he understands. Strimzy provides a way to run an Apache Kafka cluster on Kubernetes and OpenShift in various deployment configurations. It's interesting that the Pulumi gives us a chance to pull in the YAML and use it like an object. Although this is, see, use config group to apply inline YAML. Is this giving me, is this YAML that I'm writing here, or is this going to give me like an IntelliSense thing? Because this is building a config file, and then I set a config group, and then is this YAML? If it's YAML, then that's going to give me an issue, right? What I'm wondering is there a is there that, see, that doesn't specifically mention Pulumi. Is there a version of this that uses craft? Is Zookeeper still the right way to do this? Because Kafka 381 last week, code of conduct, there's no update Zookeeper, so it's still using Zookeeper heavily. 100 issues, craft. Allow Kafka role directly connect. We'll tell you what. What's the worst that happens? We take their example, and we build out that. So I don't feel 100% comfortable putting everything in the control of someone else's script where I lose that control. That's what's concerning me. I'm just trusting fully that they do everything that I want to do. Okay, so let's make sure that that is the latest release of that as well, because this is obviously a link from earlier on in the year. So let's go to code. Releases, yeah, 0.44. So let's see, 4444. He says with confidences, yeah. Important, Strimzy 0.44 supports only Kubernetes 1.25 and newer. 1.23 and 1.24 are not supported. 131. Okay. Add the unmanaged Kafka topic status update. Add support for host. Advertise host. Apache Kafka. Streamsy Bridge. Apache Kafka 3.8. Oh my goodness me. There's a whole world to understand here that I have no time or ability to understand right this second. So go back to here. So we pull Streamsy operator. Morning module. Hope you are well. I'm going to do my switch to drag that over off screen so that we don't end up with flick, 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 back and forth. And then we're going to write out the rest. So we can learn what it will give us and not just copy and paste and figure it out. Okay, so Kafka cluster equals new K8S dot YAML dot config group Kafka Kafka cluster. Okay. So files. Now we get into how sensitive this is, right? Because this is this I'm not trusting what the AI is offering me there, by the way. Because their example does this. API version beta 2, right? Kind is Kafka. That's from the Helm chart. But it's not able to type string. Yeah, that's my concern. So it's time to copy this in and see what happens when I paste it in. Right. That's what's worrying me. This program, the config file resource is used to apply the Streamsy Kafka operator YAML directly from the Streamsy GitHub. Subsequently, config group resource is used to define the Kafka custom resource, including Kafka and Zookeeper replicas. Remember that when managing infrastructure as code, it's recommended to store your Pulumi programs in a version control system and apply best practices, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this process, by the way, gives no ability for comments, no ability for feedback. It just, here you go. And it looks like official documentation, but it says it's an answer using Kubernetes Kafka Streams IO with Discovery K8S IO. Use config group to apply inline YAML. So that's looking for a string, right? So let's see if this gives me, yeah. New file, Kafka cluster dot YAML. That's not YAML, right? That's not YAML. So let's make it YAML. That's gonna be interesting. I don't know how you do an array. I believe we just do that. I don't think there's any braces or commas in YAML. H search comma replace. Oh no. Please tell me to just do that. Please tell me to just do that. That's that. That's that. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. I want the selection, not the I made that mistake. I don't want you split. Um, there you go. Replace all. Replace that with that. Replace that with that. I think we're done. Okay. Why will you not format? Okay, let's do at the very least that. Okay. This is ls Kafka cluster namespace. It's Kafka. Okay. See, these I don't know about. Unless that's, yeah, I don't know. Well, it's gonna go wrong. That's for certain. So what does it suggest I fix? Minimal example for Kafka with one zookeeper, one storage, zookeeper, entity operator, Kafka. So when it says Kafka, it means broker. So this is set up on 9092 internal, one replica. These are the default configurations for that. When we configure topics and stuff, that'll work better. And yeah, let's try and see what happens. So go to index.ts, let's comment that out. Let's import start Kafka from Kafka. Kafka is horrid. Awesome. Thank you, Random. Any particular reason why you hold that opinion? Care to elaborate at all? To deploy it's a nightmare. Oh, so I've used Kafka. I've used Confluent Cloud in production because I've gone to try and deploy Kafka before and realized just how much of a mess it becomes. I'm fully expecting it to be challenging. but I need to figure it out, at least bare minimum. So it's a running Kafka cluster. So the Strimsy thing in Pulumi seems to be an option, but we'll see. Welcome in, by the way. Um, so I'm trying to deploy an application I've been building for the past year to a local Kubernetes cluster. So I'm going to struggle. I'm going to um, fail. But you know, on the other side of that, once I get through that, I'll be able to say Kafka is horrid from a deployment perspective, right? I don't know unless I try. Pulumi, 34 resources. Okay, let's see. I fully expected to fail on that config file. There we go. Here you go, sir. I am trying to today. I'm trying to learn how to deploy Kafka through Pulumi. To deploy the Liquid Sky application. Yeah, I tried to deploy it on a Kubernetes cluster on EKS using Helm, and it was just a pain. I got it semi-working. I needed it for a product to change the data pipeline to a change data capture model of streaming data, so it was real time from one Postgres. Yeah, that's why does not, let's see, we can get install Pulumi. Normally Pulumi, yeah, it doesn't recognize it. Definitely a new version. I've really come to love using Kafka. When this goes to become a product, I will highly consider using Kafka at Confluent Cloud for the use case I have. If I was doing connectors and stuff, I might still think about it from that perspective. CDC is an interesting concept from pulling it from the database and moving it over without actually having to um, write programs and stuff. Write programs and stuff. Yeah, that's the best I can come up with right this second. um, I'm just trying to check to see if 3.137 has any meaningful reason to upgrade. Allow memory profile, bug fixes, don't publish test code. There's no significant reason why I should worry about this today on stream. Yep. Ads run. It determined that was a link. I do apologize, random. Um, this is your first DevOps. Okay, so yeah. So I'll wait for the ads to finish before I go into it, just in case there's any other newcomers to the stream. Let me start something up while we wait. Do 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 do. Thank you very much for the follow. I appreciate it. Okay, so I should probably show Liquid Sky running for those that haven't seen it before, so you know what I'm trying to deploy. So this project is a passion project that I've been building for the last year. The overall design, well, we'll wait for that to do. Looks something like this, right? From an architectural perspective. It's a distributed system with lots of moving parts. The goal of the project. Let's see if I can actually get this running. Did Kafka start and continue to start to run? It looks like it did. That's good. No. Yes, it did. Okay. So we'll let that start up a second. And I can demonstrate what this does. Of course, now I'm going to demo it. It's not going to go all nice and smoothly. There we go. You didn't start, did you? Because you broke us. Looks like it did. Problem with having an application structure that starts off 14 projects and a website, including dependencies all over the place, means that it does take a little longer to start up. It's pinging in my ear every few seconds. Bought my sister and boyfriend €200 in game keys, and they threw away the list because they thought it was a list of games I suggested them to buy. Oh, that's rough. Ouch. So I have worked in software for a long time. I have built software, I have worked in teams, and I've used products like Jira. And the one thing that I always notice is trying to sit by the rules of what Agile and Scrum dictate in terms of how we write stories, how we put them together, and what other people have said we should do, and we take them very literally. So this product is an attempt to put what I see as a solution forward, right? Whether it's actually a solution or not, I don't know, but I want to build it. So the concept is that we have planning. Planning is independent of actual work. Hello, first example, by the way. I didn't say that then. This concept is one of the product managers, the management team in general gets together and talks about what they want to do, and they kind of create this wish list of things they want to put together, and they define it, and they say, here's what we want to do and here's why we want to do it, and then they specify the requirements. And up until now, this looks like a story. But the problem is, as developers, we take these stories, we value individuals and interactions over process. Yes. We take this story and we're trying to fit technical requirements inside of what they've specified, because we can't possibly have something that documents all the pieces we think we need to do on the technical side. And when things don't fit nice and neatly, we struggle, or we miss requirements, or we don't ask the right questions. So what this is a way to present what is expected, what is hoped we can do, in a way that says, okay, here's what we think, here's what we want. I don't know. Scrum processes and automate individuals and interaction without thinking. Yes. And then we say, okay, now go off and build this thing that we've asked for and fit it in these constraints. And then we're like, well, why isn't it fit? Why is this story big? We need to make that story smaller. So we try and cut it up in artificial ways to make it fit the way that the company describes the problem, right? So what we do here with this one is we create tasks. Now, yes, you can create tasks in Jira. It is a way of doing it, but it means that if it's sat there in the backlog, if it's sat there in the sprint, it is work to be done. It is not necessarily, even if it's ill thought out, it still looks like work to be done. And we have no visual perspective on, no visuals on what is being planned and being ready for development and what is in development, right? So Liquid Sky breaks that out into tasks. So tasks now, this focus, this view is solely for development side of things. DevOps, QA, everything that, all the tasks that are involved in delivering the software product come together in this piece. And sprints, etc., will be run through here, right? So deploy client to application to Kubernetes, right? This is going to take a second because it's catching up. It makes a server call, right? So the sprint boards and stuff would live in here and allow us to track that. So from the planning perspective, planning items are not sprint oriented. They are focused on the capturing the concepts and the requirements that the business has laid out, and then the tasks are built for doing that and allowing the developers to track the tasks and work with the tasks without worrying about the business requirements that fed into that. Now, on a given task, you can still see why you're doing it, right? So the idea is that the requirement that drives this task will still be visible to the developer. They'll still be able to understand, okay, this is the particular piece I'm focused on. This is the requirement I'm meeting. And then as we're discussing it, the developers can figure this out. So it's very much the goal to try and increase the productivity of both sides by giving them each what they need to deliver a successful software product, but not focusing on one over the other. Because when we start to say you can't have technical requirements in a story, the story has to be driven by the business requirements, etc. A lot of places I've seen, a lot of people I've seen struggle with how to make that effective. Now, maybe I've not worked with someone who's done effective Scrum or effective Agile before, and maybe an education in that would give me the chance to see, oh, okay, this is why this is not a good idea. But this is the thing we're building, and this is the thing that we're focused on deploying. So this piece right here, this big long piece, is the piece that I'm focused on right the second of the deployment. It doesn't exist. We can help, but we'll see. So the system's designed as a distributed monolith, I would imagine. is the right term, which is I have recently learned a bad idea for a solo developer. I like a challenge though. So the client is built in Angular right now. It travels, it communicates through an API gateway. Every command it makes goes via the gateway to the correct service. So if I update a task, it updates into the tasks component. If I update a sprint, it updates into the task component because tasks is sprints as well. If I update a planning item, it goes into the planning item. If I upload an attachment, it gets sent to the attachment system, and also the planning item gets the reference to that attachment. So attachments is independent of the component. Other processes monitor the Kafka topics. The changes are all calculated off of diffs through here. So as data gets pushed into these things, integration events fire so other systems can consume it. CDC would be a way of doing this, but I actually publish specific integration events so I can publish the reason why something changed as well. And I hook into things like notifications. So as changes happen, the notification system's monitoring and saying, hey, do you care about this particular thing? Has this user registered interest in this thing? And if that happens, the notification system uses something that isn't in here, which is a RabbitMQ with mass transit as a service bus. It sends a notification to that user and stores that. And also the view consumes all the data published through here, consolidates it down into a view, and exposes a GraphQL API against that data so that the client can read it and query it as if it's one data source. So it's not the easiest of systems. It's quite a large system, and that is what I'm focused on, learning how to deploy. We're at the point where the system is usable enough that it's shutting things down to make sure I don't waste the resources unnecessarily. But we're at the point where the system is usable enough that we can, if we can deploy it, we can use it to dog food it, right? So we can build sprints of work up. We could actually spec things out and start to really use the system and get to a more productive future. So this did not work. Strimzy came up. So Strimzy runs as its own container. Strimzy cluster operator. That's kind of terrifying. I'm tempted to just build this the way I know. Build out a very simple Kafka piece, put a zookeeper in there, put a broker in there, and see what challenges I face, rather than trying to use something that's built. Because I don't understand I don't know what I don't know exactly right this second, right? I'm struggling through this because it's not my focus, right? DevOps is not my piece. I've got to learn. I'm trying to learn through tools. But that's what we do. This path is probably just longer than what you know already. Yeah. Yeah. So let's go and let's remove this for a second. Let's see if we can build this without all that. Oh. Let's remove that. Pulumi down. That's why. Let's try and build the right pieces. So what we are going to do there is reference the Docker Compose we have for Kafka already. So that gives us something to start with. It gives us the image, it gives us the pieces. What we need initially is the zookeeper, the broker, and AKHQ. That's all we really need. right? We don't need schema registry. We don't need Kafka Connect. We don't need KSQL DB. We're not doing any manipulation of the streams in flight. We're not doing any of that. That's a whole different lesson I need to learn. I'm hoping that I can tinker with stuff. Once we have the quantity of data going through the system, I'm hoping that I can get to look at more of that stuff and how to use those tools effectively. So let's just build those components and see what we do. And I'm going to build it all in line and stop trying to be efficient to start with because it's not helping me. Right. I know Zookeeper might not be the right way. We'll have to look at Craft and see what that does because the Confluent community images are not already using Craft. They're using Zookeeper still. So I'll have to keep an eye on that. Mac and cheese, absolutely. So the way the stream works is, yes, there's a lot of chatter, but I'm trying to share this journey. Success or failure, good or bad, it doesn't matter. If you have something, I'm not looking for someone to try and walk me through doing something exactly. I don't need someone to try and handhold me through a process. But if you do have hints and tips or links that are useful, you can't message them directly unless you're a VIP. So if you do have any links that are useful, there is a Discord as well if you want to share anything there. And you can message me links to useful resources if you feel that I can benefit. And I'm open to uh, learning and discussion as long as there's positive conversation around it. Doesn't Azure have ready to go clusters? Seems Craft or Zookeeper should have be an implementation detail we don't have to deal with. I'm not sure. Again, I'm trying to learn what I don't know so that I can, when I look at those things, when I look at those deployments, I can understand the differences and understand why I'm looking at an alternative. Um, so I don't know why Craft is now a replacement when they were talking about um, removing Zookeeper and making the brokers intercommunicate. I know that was a design. So yeah, we gotta learn those things. All the cloud have clusters. But ultimately, I came to the conclusion I never want to be responsible for a cluster, especially not a Kafka cluster. Yeah. So we want a deployment and a service. Now, do we want, I assume we want a deployment and a service for the Zookeeper and the broker independently because we don't want their pods to be inextricably, we don't want their pods to be scaled at the same ratios. I think the best way to learn something new is by explaining it to someone else. So you should make me tiny classes. I'm almost doing my neuropsychology course anyway. Nice. That's cool. All that brain stuff. Um, so I think I'm going to try and create a deployment for each piece and then see where we go. So const Zookeeper equals, yeah. I know it might hurt Schnabel, but we'll get through this. AWS has MSK, Azure has Apache Kafka, and GCP has GKE. Right. Well, isn't that helpful? um, yeah, that works. That is right. Nice. The one thing we need. So I was looking at this earlier on. When we define the service, we probably need to specify this because we want it to have a cluster IP. We don't want this publicly accessible, right? The last thing I want to do is risk opening up. Is it cluster IP by default? The last thing I want to do is risk opening this up and then activating the tunnel and finding that I've somehow managed to expose my Kafka cluster publicly, and someone's been watching and figured out how to just immediately dump a ton of data in there because I've started with it insecure. Um, K8S service default type. Cluster IP is the default. Okay, that's why. As long as it's fully managed, so I don't have to deal with Zookeeper and topic balances are good. Also, when it eventually does the belly flop, I want an expert to help me fix stuff. It's why I kind of liked using Confluent Cloud. When we use that, I mean, it's not cheap, but it does abstract a lot of this stuff away from you. So yeah. Okay, so we have the Zookeeper. That's that. We're not going to worry about data volumes yet. Data volumes are something we're going to have to worry about. Because we want, when we bring the cluster down and up, we don't want to lose all that data, right? Want to persist things. Const broker equals new. It should offer the same thing. Used Avon, it also felt a bit pricey, but compared to the pain of running the cluster using duct tape and hitting it with a hammer, it was a massive relief when we switched to Avon. What's Avon? Data and API platform. One unified platform to stream, store, and serve data on any cloud. Oh. Avon for Apache Kafka. Oh, so it's like Confluent Cloud. Deployed in the cloud of your choice with a full set of capabilities. Okay. But it's, oh, you deploy it. Okay. No, I don't want to sign up just to get started for free. Let me start for free then. Yeah. You see, we'd have to get a lot more subs on the stream to be able to afford to do that. Even to do that would be, yeah. And I'm fine with the costing money thing, right? I get what, if this is giving me the ability to say, hey, here's my Kafka instance, here's how I manage it, that's great, right? Oh, we could do that. You're just showing me that. Hold on, I want to see. I don't want to see setting it up. I want to see the actual whatever. How to operate Kafka. 40,000 per month. Right, but if you're seeing millions of dollars a month through throughput, then 40,000 for the effort of not having that managed service, having to manage that service is more than worth it, right? I get why. So this will set this up. It sets the container ports up. 9092 is the exposed version. 29092 is internal. Yeah. So that's when you're talking about it via broker as a name. That's going to be important later. So because they're in the same namespace, they should be able to talk to each other via these names. But we'll figure that out afterwards. We might have to do like do something like we did before with the service name. Actually, we might need to do that now. We might need dot metadata dot. We might need that now. If it generates it a name, that name needs to be there so it can talk to the zookeeper. Okay. Now let's create the service. Service is going to look almost identical. I don't think it needs all these ports though. I think the service. This one might be an administration port. I'm not in Kafka JMX port. Okay. I don't think that one needs exposing. I think that's internal because that says localhost, plain text host, localhost. The listeners. Yeah, I'm not sure that's entirely needed. We'll figure that out. Also, we'd want to figure out, if we change that, we need to be able to get that. So how do we make that configurable? But again, we're trying to build what we have now and see if we can get it to at least work. AKHQ, that's going to be useful so that we can yeah, we don't have schema register, we're fine. That's going to be useful so we can actually test this because we're able to connect to it if it runs const AKHQ. That's interesting. That one confused it. Oh, because this is not your standard configuration, is it? Yeah, this is YAML. Oh, it's a config map essentially. Let's not worry about that right this second. We can worry about that in a second. Let's see if this starts up first. Pulumi. Oh. So I'm expecting a zookeeper and a broker. If you are new to the stream, if you are just joining, I'm trying to get a basic Kafka deployment running on a Kubernetes cluster locally. If you're interested in learning more about what this project is overall, I do stream to YouTube as well. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. But all past streams are there. So the past 170 odd streams of Liquid Sky, and then the past 4 streams of this are there. Once this is deploying, we will get back to running Liquid Sky Dev. But the idea is that this box, this this Kubernetes cluster I'm deploying to is going to get updated, and we'll put the latest versions on there and learn the lessons of, oh no, we just deleted our database, or how do we update it? So getting this done now will help us practice that part. And I say us, by the way, Mojo is working with me on parts of this platform, working on the backend components. Broker service was not successfully created. I'm causing chaos. Just trying to make sure that I'm not sounding like a crazy person talking about us. Required value specs port name. Invalid specs port name. Spec, so ports. Actually, that did read okay. Ports, container port. Nice. Maybe we'll set some time aside to do that. So that's complaining. Required value. Required value. Defining two ports. Okay. Running. Getting the error message is about specs port. So does that mean that I need? That, let's see if it changes it, because it doesn't offer me name as an option. So host port 9092. I'm still not sold on the idea that that needs anything else, but I keep doing Control KD and it does not format it. There's no formatting at all. So, okay, let's go and try Pulumi up again. It will determine there's a difference and try to apply the same thing, so whatever's there already will work. I don't think it brings anything down if it's already up and running and no changes happen to it. Oh. So it's creating the deployments, right? It's actually created a zookeeper instance, and zookeeper's running. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. As bad as that is. The broker's in a syntax near its unexpected token. Check if Zookeeper is healthy. I bet you that. So they're in the same namespace, so they should be able to refer to each other by that name, right? I bet you that part's wrong. Const Zookeeper address. This might be a bit of madness doing it this way, but we'll see. I think. Where do I do this before? I did a string concat before, right? That's a replacement. That doesn't matter. Did I do it on SQL? Storage, SQL Server. Did I avoid doing it everywhere else? Yeah. Calling toString on output. So it looks like that creates it. Yeah, an output string. So it's trying to the name is not a string, it's an output, so it's a wrapped type. So it's trying to call toString on that and failing. So that is probably why it is failing. No. We're closer. I think is this because there is a name. Plain text, HTTP name. We'll worry about encryption, JMX. We'll worry about all that security stuff later. Right now, this is going to be behind the lines of the Kubernetes cluster. So, and it's not going to contain anything bad. Not successfully created. Interestingly, oh, it did error in the same way. Just reversed where it showed the errors. Okay, so I got two problems I'm introducing. So let's figure one out before we start digging deeper. Let's take this. Let's make that. Let's just make that for right this second. It might not resolve it, but I'd rather see it fail to resolve it and know whether everything else is correct. So having two active issues is not going to help me solve anything, right? I need to go to get one focused on and fix one. And if one looks like it's causing the other, Yeah. Okay, so they're not. Let's see. Let's go back to the pods. Broker. Yeah. No such file. Check his zookeepers. So it's failing on unexpected token. Let's do that. Thing. Service broker service is invalid. Spec ports to is this the problem? No, because initially plain text HTTP name equals plain text. That's the standard broker port 9092. Name equals JMX. So what I was failing to do there was read the thing that was failing. The deployment was okay. The service was wrong. There we go. Different error now. Invalid value, plain text HTTP. So it is validating that piece. So, okay. Should have known that. Underscores are not. Underscores and periods are not used throughout this entire thing. So now I'm expecting it to fail on Zookeeper because Zookeeper's name is not going to be Zookeeper, I don't believe. So it's trying to start up a new one. This one still tries to run until this one starts, and then because the deployment, it will bring this pod down. Is my thought. L scheduling. Okay, you can go down. Pulumi down. My hope over time is that I will learn more about how to diagnose these things and not have to worry about up and down, up and down. Because if I have the full stack scripted out, I don't want to be turning off components or whatever just to try and test individual pieces. There's got to be some better ways, right? Now, hold on. Let's go back to this. I still think that's incorrect because I don't think that just because they call it Zookeeper there, nothing here makes it Zookeeper, because that's still going to get its own name. Can it have a name? Yeah, that's not a thing. I think the service can have a name. No. No, it can't. Metadata. Where did we set that? We set that in, was it SQL Server? No, namespace. Because it mattered somewhere, didn't it? Name, there you go. Configuration name, yeah, okay. So let's do name zookeeper. And then that should match because the name of the service is correct. Oh, it didn't fail. Connected to Zookeeper, fine. So we do have a running Kafka, Zookeeper, and Broker. Oh, did I just open my mouth? That came back almost immediately. Okay, so now 38421. So if we connect to, we open this. Wow, that opened on the. That's impressive. Offset Explorer. So add new connection. This is going to be K8S. This is going to be Zookeeper host doesn't matter here because we don't connect to Zookeeper anymore. It's plain text security, localhost. I'm sure I remember that port number 38421 because it forwards it to 9092. It's the goal. Come on. Should need a loop back. 38421. Shashang, welcome in. Thank you very much. Okay, is that broker there? That broker's failing. Why is that broker failing? Hey, Tuki Tuki. Timed out waiting for connection to Zookeeper server. Okay, so it was trying to connect. It just never did connect to Zookeeper. Okay, so that's so then it crashes, then starts again and tries again. Yeah, okay. Fullbots, hello. Pulumi down. Okay, so that's not going to ever connect, so I can give up on that. If you like addictive puzzle games, I can highly recommend Fullbots as a game. You're here for correct code. Let me know if you see any. So it's not resolving that. Is that creating a problem? In the same namespace. What am I missing here in terms of knowledge? I do not think that's right. So it will give it a name by default, but is that the name that it's going to use to communicate with it? I don't know. Q181. It should be able to connect to anything inside of the namespace. I should just be able to use the name and have that work as far as I'm aware. We're in uncharted territory right this second because I've got to figure out which piece I need to do. And as always, if you're new to the stream, take care, Mojo. If you're new to the stream, safe journey. If you're new to the stream, if you have questions on what I'm doing, if you want to know more about the project overall, this particular stream and the several streams to come yet are all about deploying an application I've been building. So it's a little hard to just describe. But yeah, if you have questions or opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to share them as long as they're constructive and do not productive. I want to be productive and I want to share that the fact that I'm not doing this out of any place of knowledge, I'm doing this out of learning. And it's important to do this stuff, to learn. And if nothing else, I'd appreciate someone else having to do this as a role, right? Like, hey, here's an application I'm building. It comes with a bunch of consequences. There you go. You go deal with the deployment now. That's not where I want to be. So at least doing this, I get to appreciate difficulty someone has in deploying an application I'm building. Oh no. You're out of coffee. Failing is probably one of the best ways to learn. Not getting frustrated and trying to understand what lessons you're learning as well. I agree. I 100% agree that failing to do this will help me understand more. Like, but I've got to take. I can't just bumble through it, right? I can't just, I have to take some lessons from it. So, like Tuki said, the broker was reconnecting. It was restarting because it was failing. It was failing to connect to Zookeeper. Let's try that once more. I'm not expecting a different outcome. I'm just expecting a different. Can I say? Let's see that. I'm starting to wonder if there's a way of saying, okay, when this is actually started, do this thing. I just want to see if it does log anything there. It doesn't matter because the way that Kafka works is that these services start up and start polling and give a long back off. So even if the zookeeper wasn't started, that's interesting. Cannot read properties undefined. So even if the broker started first, it'd start polling for the zookeeper and keep trying for a while. As we just saw, it'll go into a restart loop, right? 142. Okay, so it's running. You know, it's got Zookeeper 2181. How would I even validate that? I have no idea. Check if Zookeeper is healthy. Info. There you go. Client session timed out. And now it reboots, right? And it tries again. Zookeeper is up and running. Oh, hold on. Let's figure service account. Yeah, there you go. That's the pod though, not the service. Network services. Yeah, Zookeeper. 2181 cluster IP. I don't have to specify the namespace, do I? Want to specify? Right. What am I looking for here? Hey, Fullschnabel. Napalm. Sorry. The orange, my brain. You shouldn't define as a service. It read whatever you said, something space dash B. It read that as a link. I'm sorry. Tuki Tuki. Gemini. Service A, service B. Yeah, service. Service B. So it says service B from service A. You can use DNS name, service B. Yeah, okay. That's what I thought. Because we give this name, this zookeeper service's name, this should be able to communicate via that name. Because they're in this and they're in the same namespace. So this one has its random name given to it, right? But I controlled the name of this one. I called this zookeeper. Good or bad? it still believes that what you're saying there is a link. Because sorry, I was saying using star star star. I do apologize. I had a massive issue with bots not too long ago. So the stream is a little bit more locked down. And prevents people from doing anything with links. So if you whatever you're trying to say, you can whisper me if you would like to. Or PM me, whatever the right term for that is. That's perfectly okay. This dot, oh yeah. Oh, this should be able to talk to this by its DNS name, which is there. There's no ingresses set because I'm not 2181. So there is an address for that one. Service name dot namespace dot service dot cluster dot local. Ah, gotcha. So no, I haven't tried. We only just got to this part, so yes, delete. Not zookeeper. So what you're saying there is that's zookeeper dot ls Kafka dot. I assume you mean the name of. But wouldn't that be? Oh, that's the way of doing it in Docker, right? Ah, really? Come on, are you serious? Second. What's the name of the service? So the name of the service is Zookeeper. Let's make that distinct. That could be causing an issue because the container name is Zookeeper. Yeah, but it does. That shouldn't matter. Let's just do that. Let's make it a distinct name. As far as I understand, and as far as I've read so far, that should be enough. But service.namespace, I don't have a fully qualified. What would that even be from a cluster perspective? Nodes. Let's just try with a very distinct name. The challenge of when you're trying to do something using a tool that wraps around another tool, understanding, and I understand what I'm trying to search for here when I look for it, but understanding which part of the system has the challenge, which part of the system has the problem. In this case, it's the I don't use Pulumi. Yeah. I'm not using Helm charts. I've done Helm charts before. I'm not deploying to Kubernetes that way. Pulumi is definitely a way to do this that I believe is the right way for me. Yeah, see, that's got Zookeeper service. And I don't do this all the time, right? I'm trying to do this because I'm trying to use Argo using customizing Helm charts. You don't like YAML soup? There we go. It failed again. And it failed because of the timeout. Okay, so did it? Yeah, it tried to Zookeeper service. And opening socket connection to servers, Zookeeper service, 10, 108, 21, 144. What I don't want to use a dashboard or any sort of visual tools necessarily for doing deployment. I'm not trying to do that. Yeah, that's the IP that it used. Kubernetes CDK. That still puts me in the same problem, right? It still puts me in the same place. So ultimately, I've still got to figure out stuff like this, right? Whether I use a tool for doing the deployment, like a CI/CD tool, or I use Pulumi or I use CDK, I still have the same issue, right? Um, That's not going to magically solve itself for me. Reality right now, I got to design that piece. Now, maybe going forward, we look at other options for doing this once we understand how to do this. The goal of using something like Pulumi, using infrastructure as code, is I can commit it to a repository. I don't have to set up yet more. I don't have to set up another process. Mojo's been playing with Argo and Open, whatever it's called, and use it and trying to think with those sorts of tools and getting differing levels of success. But it's to me, having this scripted out has its own value. And stress. Let's have a look. Am I missing something from how I communicate with that? So in no Zookeeper Connect, Zookeeper 2181. I don't open any of the ports. This doesn't matter. Kafka Connect does not matter. Depends on broker. Depends on broker schema registry. Depends on Zookeeper. But that's that. So in Docker, that works fine. Yeah, I'm not sure what issues you're running into. I just didn't know if you were aware about CDK. I wasn't aware. I do appreciate the ad. But it's the same thing, right? It's infrastructure as code. It's trying to code out building your infrastructure. Doing it this way, you could configure this. You could actually bring up, you could specify development environments. You could specify all sorts of stuff and just say Pulumi up and bring everything you need up in one go. And that's the nicety to that. From a consistency perspective, I like that idea. I like scripting it, go and commit changes. If I'm using tools, I can export backups of things potentially, but ultimately I'm using visual tools to do it. So it's just not a path I want to go at this point. So what's the problem? The dependency issue? The dependency issue, it doesn't matter if the zookeeper is started, because the Kafka node will keep retrying. The broker node will keep retrying. But it looks like the zookeeper service is fully up. It's just this is not communicating. It's as if it can't, it times out getting this. Now it resolves correctly, because if I look at the logs, let's download those logs. Desktop. No, that was a bad idea. That was a bad choice. Desktop. If we look at the logs here, it's trying to connect to Zookeeper service, which that is the IP address in the server. So Tuki's suggestion was the namespacing of it, which I'm not opposed to. I haven't done that before. Pulumi down. Specifying namespace service in K8S. And again, using the right platform for the thing I'm doing when I'm searching for this stuff. Okay, so this is what you were talking about, right? Tuki. Service.namespace.service.cluster.local. Specifying in the same namespace. Oh, hold on. Are they in the same namespace? Let's validate that part first. Yes. They are. They are specified in the same namespace. So the zookeeper does not need to know about the broker. The broker needs to know about the zookeeper. They're specified in the same namespace. So what Tuki was suggesting before is kind of the external name. It's like the here's how you're going to refer to it outside of this thing. We can try it, right? We can certainly try it. So this would be zookeeper service dot ls kafka dot svc dot cluster dot local. Pulumi up. So I wasn't doubting you before, Tuki. I just had to get there myself to understand. It's on a little Linux box behind me. Yes. I have a few machines spare to be able to use as little boxes to test with. So I have a little AMD mini PC that's 18 core with 32 gig. So it gives me some. Okay, let's see if this looks any different. Nope, same problem. Zookeeper service.lskafka.service.cluster.local. Network. I named them so you can see them at a glance. endpoints, both in the IaC Kafka namespace. No ingress. We're not we're not exposing public access to these things. Log into the container as it is in the cluster. Yeah, that's going to be challenging, isn't it? Because it won't. I have to get the moment it's going to. Oh, hold on. What are you doing? No. Nice. Okay. Let's keep clicking on random things. It'll work, right? How do I do this? How do I do this? How do I do this? Network. Storage, workloads, pods, broker. Ping. Ah. Yep, there we go. We lost it already. No ping. Anyway, sorry to backseat. Got to get some studying in from AWS renewal before people on the West Coast wake up. No worries. Napalm, thank you very much for the assist. Appreciate it. I appreciate the input. This is going to be a struggle, right? So for reference, I have done this once before using building Helm charts by hand, getting a deployment to a little Kubernetes cluster locally, deploying ingress, getting tunnels and stuff working. I have had that sort of stuff working before. It's my first time trying to do this in this way. It's a challenge. And last time I took 3 months, did it off stream so that I could. Thanks, Rambling Geek. Appreciate it. I took 3 months. I did it off stream because I'm still very nervous about doing this sort of stuff on stream. But I figured this time I need to do this. Liquid Sky is going to benefit from having a deployment so that Mojo and I can work on it remotely, work together, collaborate more, test things out. We can help, we can open it up so other people can access it. And that's fine. It's going to be a struggle. I appreciate it's going to be a struggle. It's not always going to be nice, smooth sailing. But I'm streaming it, I'm sharing it, I'm recording it because it's worth doing and worth learning about. So I do apologize if it is somewhat frustrating or a little boring, but the fact that there are people visiting a lot more when I'm doing this stuff suggests this is not something that everyone does and a lot of people have interest in. So now, is this something to do with that port? Opening ports between services, K8S. Is there a community Helm chart? There is a Helm chart for this Strimsy thing that I was taking a look at before. I don't I that is too much, and I don't want to mess around with the YAML configuration in that right this second, because again, I don't understand. So what I'm going to try and do first is get, because my long-term goal is to not use this, right? My long-term goal is to use a product like Confluent Cloud, so I don't have to worry about this configuration. So I don't want to use, so I don't care if the local install of Kafka is pretty simplistic, as long as I can test it and work with it. Yeah. So let's quickly. So you see port 2181, 2181. So that should open that service up correctly. But that being said, we are quickly running out of time. Tiempo. Yes. So we're going to raid someone we haven't raided before, just to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to finish up here. I'm going to try and do some of this off stream. I'll see if I can get any more working on it, because it would be nice to be over this hump and get Kafka deployed, and then we could, because there's a whole lot more stuff to deploy, right? We've got the services, we've got the different connectivity between them, we've got to get a RabbitMQ instance running, we've got to get the ingress figured out and all that sort of stuff. So there's a whole lot more to do here that that I want to be able to say, you know, I have ready. So this journey is not over by far. If you're interested in knowing more about the project, if you want to ask more questions, if you have more information you want to share, there is a Discord that is linked in the cards below. If you're watching on YouTube, I appreciate you hanging out. It's normally very quiet on there, but and I can't get Restream bot to work, so the chat doesn't go both ways. But thank you. Don't forget to drop that like and hit subscribe to catch more of the content. It's an important thing on YouTube. It's very important, and the more people that come in, the more, you know, we can talk about this stuff. Mr. Jones, thank you very much for hanging out. I appreciate it very much. Okay, so let's go raid Sinisperry. Sinisperry? Yes. Also, don't forget, self-promotion is not something he's big on, but One Line, it's Wednesday. One Line streams Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and is currently working on his work stuff as well. So the streams are varying length, but it's very fascinating to see someone working on an actual work project and talking about those challenges, and you know, things with deadlines change things. So absolutely worth checking out, and also a great streamer. We're going to raid Sinisperry. Sinisperry is working on helping Dan, Dan Garep, on his game. So we'll go raid over there, and I will be back tomorrow with more of this fun, and we'll see where it goes from there. So take care all. Thank you very much. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you again soon. Bye.